All right, you're watching The Marketplace. Now, the chair of the International Chamber of Commerce, ICC, Maria Fernanda Garza, is on a tour of Africa and has chosen Ghana as the first country for her visit. Garza took over as chair from Ajay Banga, who is now president of the World Bank. Now, the mission of the ICC is to make business work for everyone by promoting open international trade and investment systems that foster peace, prosperity, and opportunity for all. Garza's visit comes on the heels of the ICC's successful participation in the World Trade Organization's Ministerial Conference, MC13, in Abu Dhabi. And she's in studio with me this afternoon. Great to have you, Ma'am, in the studio. First trip to Ghana?
First time to Ghana, yes.
What would you say about hospitality here in Ghana?
It is amazing. I mean, I've been just here for 24 hours, but I realized that the most valuable treasure that Ghana has is their people.
Oh, wow. Wow. We're happy to have you. And so, like I mentioned in my intro, you attended the WTO MC13 conference in Abu Dhabi, especially there were talks on the extension on the moratorium on e-commerce. Tell us more about that conference and the highlights, you think.
Well, it was very interesting to see how the whole business sector round up in the conference to present what the business community needs from the WTO. And basically what we need is certainty. So it was a little bit disappointed to see that we were not able to come with a clear and explicit renewal of the WTO's moratorium on tariff cross-border data flows.
Why is that?
That is, in 1998, when internet was starting and e-commerce was beginning, countries that members of the WTO came together and created this moratorium. So all governments agree not to place tariffs on data transfer and e-commerce. And that was the reason, one of the reasons why e-commerce and the internet grew so much with all its potential. So now we're seeing that there are many voices from governments that want to place tariffs for data transfer. So imagine what that would mean, in particularly for small businesses that rely on the new technologies to be part of this whole trade, global trade.
And so what does that mean, as there's no consensus right now on issues concerning e-commerce, for instance?
Well, not having a consensus on renewing the moratoria or making it definitely is creating uncertainty. And unfortunately, right now, around the world, we're living on very uncertain times. And business needs to have the security to invest. So we're afraid that by this outcome, the investments that are much needed will chill out.
Okay. Your visit to Ghana is coinciding with the 10th anniversary launch of ICC Ghana. Tell us what has been achieved over the years.
It is amazing what ICC Ghana has achieved during the last 10 years because it only restarted its operation in 2014. For example, for ICC, it means to have a partner in one of the most dynamic economies in Africa, but also the capacity building and training programs that ICC Ghana has been promoting, not only for lawyers and arbitrators, but for people that it's involved in global trade, has really make a difference. Let me give you an example. The INCO terms, the international commercial terms. These are voluntary rules that are created by the users of them and are used all around the world in all commercial operations. Basically what they do is that they clarify the responsibilities that buyers and sellers have in trade. So this is very important. And Ghana's National Committee provides with the training so the exporters and importers understand how to utilize correctly these tools. Also, Ghana had a very important role in the trade facilitation, the establishment of the trade facilitation agreement here in Ghana, the single window that is on its way to be fully implemented. So business in Ghana have already started to feel the benefits of being part of a global business community.
All right, I want to talk about the ICC tools on combating corruption, because you're going to launch that as well. Why those tools and how useful would it be?
Well, in the late 1970s, ICC was the first business organization to recognize that business, yes, was part of the problem in corruption, but it also was part of the solution. So since then, we have launched a series of tools for businesses to become work with more integrity, because it has been proven that corruption is not a very wise business strategy. In the short term, it might look as a good idea, but in the long term, it never works out, neither for the business, the community, or the country. So with the tools that we have been creating, we have been supporting businesses around the world to create a framework inside their business to guard themselves against corruption. So these tools guide businesses on all the steps they need to follow to create a safe environment.
All right, you have a lot on your plate, because I'm also, as part of your itinerary, you're launching the second ICC Africa Sustainable Supply Chain Summit after a successful meeting event in Ghana last year. I want to ask you about how does Africa resolve our supply chain challenges, to take a cue from the experience of the Americas?
I see two venues that need to be worked at the same time. First, you need to lower the red tape barriers. You need to make trade easy for companies. But on the other side, you also need to start working on the infrastructure needed for these businesses to operate among themselves. And what is happening today in Africa is something very similar that is happening in other regions of the world. For example, my own region, Latin America. And it's that we do not have the right infrastructure to trade among ourselves. So that is why this event on supply chain is so important, because it will identify the challenges that the African countries have in both infrastructure, but also in trade facilitation.
Okay, I'm just going to read a bit of your portfolio so that people know who you are. You're CEO of Orestia,
yes.
Is that right? A manufacturing home improvement solutions company based in Mexico with exports to the USMCA region, Latin America and Asia. And of course, you're a lifelong advocate for SMEs in your home country as well. And so your journey from being a startup to a world leader, what sort of advice would you give to small businesses and also women-led businesses? Well,
get involved. The reason I started my company right after coming out of college, and we specialize in manufacturing water-saving devices, which is part of plumbing. So we grew up in the plumbing industry. And a couple of months after becoming a business woman in Mexico, I realized how difficult the environment was for anybody to start up a company, to grow it and to be successful. Sometimes it seems that everything was working against me. So obviously I start complaining. And then somebody told me, it doesn't make any good to complain by yourself. Why don't you join a business organization and start working with other business people that want to change things and want to present a case to the government. And I remember at that time we were working to establish an independent centralized bank in Mexico. So we were in the very basics, and we were successful. So that gave me more courage and determination to continue. And that's how I keep on working. I mean, along with growing my business and growing my family, I also devoted part of my time to work at a business organization. Later, in the early 1990s, in 1991, I became involved with ICC, and since then I have not stopped, because I believe that this is a way to give back to society and also to make sure that I contribute for a better world.
Okay. While you're here, and because you're from Mexico, we can talk about Ghana-Mexico trade. What's been the relationship over time, and how can both countries improve trade?
I don't think it has been established yet. I mean, there might be some relationship in sports maybe, and maybe some trade, but nothing that has been systematic established. Mm-hmm. And I believe there are many, many opportunities for both our countries to interconnect. But the most important thing will be that Ghana can learn from the Mexico experience. When I started my company in 1986, Mexico has just entered the GATT, this agreement, a month before. So my company experienced what Mexico, this Mexican transformation into a very, very closed market to an open market. So I was able to reap all the benefits of this for my company, even though I was not involved, for example, in the auto manufacturing industry. It is the most successful case for Mexico trade, opening trade.
Okay.
So I think that by looking at the example of Mexico and how we were able to open ourselves, then we can support you in open yourselves to the world.
Okay, we're looking forward to that. And so after Ghana, where next? Which other country are you going?
Cameroon.
Cameroon, okay.
And then Marrakesh.
All right, okay. Any last words as we conclude for your audience?
Well, I would just like to invite all businesses that are interested or are currently dealing in international trade to join ICC Ghana, because ICC Ghana will be a window to the world, but also will give you access to all the knowledge that you need to have in order to access global markets. But also, it is for us at ICC, as a global business organization, to have the voices of the Ghanaian businesses in all our policy deals that we're doing. It is very, very important for Ghanaian business to participate, to be heard worldwide.
Maria Fernanda Garza, a new chair of the International Chamber of Commerce. I appreciate your time with us.
Thank you very much.
And hopefully we'll be at the 10th anniversary launch of the International Chamber of Commerce Ghana. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Well, in